I think it was off.
Oh, it was powered on.
It looked like it was on because the green button was on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I guess one thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it looks like the video.
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer for today, Wednesday, September 14, 2022. Apologies for a little delay here. We should get started by 10:10 at the latest. We will try to get this, get the board meeting started in the next 4 minutes. For item number 1, I have Brian Powell along with Fuak Lee on the line for item number 1. Brian, you should receive an invitation to join us as a panelist in the next 5 to 10 seconds. And Fuak, the same thing for you. You should receive an invitation to join us as a panelist in the next 5 to 10 seconds. Once you receive that invitation, if you can just please accept that invitation and you'll join us as a panelist for item number 1. Moving on to item number 2. Item number 2 will be presented by Issam Amaraji. Issam, good morning to you. You should receive that invitation to join us in the next 5 to 10 seconds. Item number 3, George Wang. George, good morning to you. And there you are. You have your hand raised. George, you should receive that invitation to join us as a panelist for item number 3. Once you receive that invitation, if you can please accept that, and you will be joined as a panelist for item number 3. Item number 4, Mr. Edward Arrington. I'm assuming it's just Edward on the line, so I'm going to go ahead and just promote you. Edward, once you get that invitation, if you want, you can go ahead and update your name to add your last name for item number 4. Items 5 and 6 is Brett McReynolds. Brett McReynolds is presenting items 5 and 6. I do not see Brett on the line. The BCA representative also do not have that person on the line either. Mr. Brett McReynolds, if you're on the line and if I cannot see you, if you can just raise your hand, I can quickly identify you at that time. Otherwise, we will look out for you when you join in for item number 5 and 6.
Hi, Fernando. This is Brian. Sorry to interrupt. There should be a Carmen Andrade in the attendees section. If you can add her to the panelist for item number 1, she's accompanying me for this report.
Along with Fuak?
Yes. Fook and Carmen are both from sanitation.
Perfect. And I think is it Fook?
Yes.
I am sending an invitation to Fook, but I'm not getting any responses from this signer or this user ID. Fook, if you
No,
could
it's
hear me.
okay. I'm actually taking the place of Fook.
Okay, I think it went through this time, so
Okay, yes.
again, for item number 1, I'll highlight whoever's on the line, but I think you should be able to go ahead and present for item number 1.
All right. Thank you, Fernando. Appreciate
you.
it.
We'll move on to item number 7. Item 7, George Wang, you're on the line as well, and I believe Quasi Burko from the Bureau of Sanitation will join you should the board have any questions for item number 7. I don't see Quasi on the line just yet, so as soon as I see him, I will go ahead and add him to the panelists.
Dr. Campos,
Item number,
I'm
item
sorry,
number 8.
Dr. Campos? Oh, sorry, this is George Huang
Sorry,
here.
was-
Asia Jackson, I don't know if she's on the call, but
I'm sorry, who is this?
I'm sorry, this is George Huang.
Who is it?
George Huang from Bureau of Engineering.
George, okay.
Oh, regarding that item number 7,
Yes?
can you hear? Quasi will not be on the call, but Asia Jackson will be representing LA Sanitation.
Okay, great. Asia, good morning to you. I will send you an invitation to join us as a panelist for item number 7. And it's now 10:10, so we should get started in the next 30 seconds. We have all commissioners in the room. Item number 8 is Fadi Aboud, along with Arsen Vaskurchian. Fadi, you should receive that invitation to join us for item number 8. And Arsen, the same thing for you. And item number 9, Troy Izay. Troy, good morning to you. You should receive that invitation to join us as a panelist. It is 10:10 and all commissioners are in the boardroom. We are going to get started at this time. And Mr. McReynolds, thank you for joining us. We were waiting for you for item number 5 and 6. You should receive that invitation to join us as a panelist for items 5 and 6. At this time, Bureau representatives, thank you for joining us for today's meeting for Wednesday, September 14th. Should the board have any questions for your Bureau, we will go ahead and open up the audio lines for at that time, should the board have any questions. This time, we're going to move forward with identifying any members of the general public that would like to provide general public comments. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or raise your hand through the Zoom application icon at this time. Again, if you're a member of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda, if you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through the Zoom application. We do have 2 callers on the line that have raised their hand. I believe one may be a city employee. Let me double check. Abram Tejada, would you like to provide public comments? Abram Tejada?
I'm sorry, that was a mistake on my part. No public comments.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the other caller on the line, Mr. Tom Williams. Good morning, Dr. Williams. If you can please unmute your microphone. Please state which item you'd like to speak on.
Item general public comment and item 8.
Public comments and item number 8. Perfect. I will go ahead and add you to the queue for those items. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Williams. Great. Last call for any comments from the general public for general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand. I have one person in the queue at this time. Should there be other individuals from the general public that would like to provide general public comments or commentary on any of the items, if you can please raise your hand, as this is the last call at this time. Seeing no other hands raised, we'll go ahead and test the microphones and video cams for our commissioners. Good morning, commissioners, and welcome. Just as a reminder, we are in the chambers, and as you speak into the microphone, if you can just turn on your microphone by pressing the push button on your microphone, that would light up the green light, and then at that point, the members joining us through Zoom can hear you at that time. President Garcia, all commissioners are in the room, video cam is working, and audio equipment is working. Would you like me to turn on the the recording?
Yes, please.
President Garcia, you're now in record mode.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, September 14, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Establishing roll call and quorum this morning, we have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Corzan and Reyes. President Garcia, you do have a quorum. Madam Chair, you do have one member on the line for general public comment. We also have a comment for item number 8 as well. Currently, we do not have any callers on the line or any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. Again, one speaker for general public comment and one speaker for item number 8.
Great, thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Why don't we take public comment now?
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and start general public comment. Dr. Williams, if you can please unmute your microphone at this time. The Board of Public Works is now considering general public comment. You'll have 2 minutes to speak under this segment. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, El Sereno. I'm quite concerned regarding the black walnut. It's become a considerable issue here in Northeast LA and other locations, but it is protected under the Department of Public Works, and you have a forest administrator. But it's not protected under the LA Fire Department, nor the Department of City Planning, nor the Department of Building and Safety and Field Inspection. So we need to get DPW to do coordination with somebody regarding the black walnut, as it is often targeted for removal during brush clearance, and they keep cutting it back, and it keeps coming back and coming back. And we need a better distinguishing effort as to how to leave the black walnut in place, especially since we're now getting hillside construction ordinances and we're getting wildlife ordinances, but if there's no habitat left because LA Fire Department has done brush clearance of everything, no matter what the size, even over the 4 inches single stem or 4 inches cumulative stem, there won't be anything left to preserve. So we're quite concerned about Department of Public Works coordinating closely with LA Fire Department, especially Department of City Planning and the Department of Building and Safety for inspection and enforcement for protecting the black walnut. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Madam Chair, that clears the queue for general public comment. We can go ahead and close that out if you'd like.
Thank you, Dr. Campos, for that, and thank you to our caller today. Colleagues, moving on to public comments now officially closed. That was the last public comment we had on the queue. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. Is there a second to my motion to approve this item forward and forthwith?
I'll second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move the approval of the minutes forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. At this time, we'll go ahead and start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Great. Moving on now to the first item on today's agenda. And to all of you, I just want to say, tomorrow is September 15th. We start the celebration of Latino Heritage Month. So congratulations to everybody that's here celebrating. Since we don't have an official meeting tomorrow, I just wanted to make sure that we all understood the kickoff starts tomorrow. All right, moving on. This item is item number 1. This is in Council District 2, 6, and 7. This is a task order requested by the Bureau of Engineering, task order number 58 for CDM Smith, Inc., a pre-qualified on-call consultants list, Lancashire Boulevard Local Area Urban Flow Management Network Project and Oro Vista Local Area Urban Flow Management Project. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue the task order to CDM Smith, Inc., from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater environmental engineering services consultants list to provide pre-design, design, bid, and award support and design services during construction for the Lancashire Boulevard Local Area Urban Flow Management Network project in the Oro Vista Local Area Urban Flow Management Project as stated in task order number 58 with a budget authority of $3,585,026 including contingency. And this morning we have Mr. Powell here on today's
Yes.
item. Good morning. Oh, we have a couple more. Welcome.
Morning. Good morning, members of the board and Bureau representatives. Brian Powell from the Bureau of Engineering Clean Water Division. With me, I also have Carmen Andrade and Fook Lee from the Bureau of Sanitation. As you stated, the Bureau of Engineering is here to request authority to authorize, to award the task order solicitation number 58 to CDM Smith. And this is for the Lancashire and Oro Vista Boulevard Green Street projects with a combined budget authority of $3,585,026, including contingency. Breaking that budget up into the individual projects, the Lancashire Boulevard project has a budget is requesting a budget authority of $2,038,096, and for Oro Vista, $1,546,930. The reason why we combined the two projects is because they both have a relatively similar scope of work, and they are fairly close in terms of the region of the city of LA. Both of these projects are Measure W regional projects, and just to provide a bit of background on the funding, the Lancashire and Oro Vista projects were approved by the County Board of Supervisors to be included in the Stormwater Investment Plan for Measure W regional funding on October 13th of 2020. Subsequently, the board authorized sanitation to execute regional transfer agreements between the Los Angeles County Flood Control District and sanitation for Oro Vista and Lancashire on January 12th and 15th of 2021, respectively. Those transfer agreements are attached to this board report as transmittals. The regional transfer agreements put into place 5-year funding plans for each project. For the Lancashire project, the city is set to receive $5,139,000 per year for 5 years, totaling $25.7 million. For the Oro Vista project, the city is set to receive $2,120,000 per year for 5 years, totaling $10.6 million in total. Just to provide a bit of background for each project, the Lancashire Boulevard project is located in Council Districts 2 and 6 in the North Hollywood area of the San Fernando Valley. The project proposes to install storm drains, dry wells, street trees, center medians, and parkway planters along a 1.5-mile stretch of Lancashire Boulevard between Sherman Way and Tuxford Street to capture and infiltrate stormwater, improve stormwater management, and provide community enhancements. As of today, the estimated construction budget for Lancashire is $18.5 million. The Oro Vista project is located in Council District 7 in the Sunland Tahunga area. The Oro Vista project proposes to install storm drains, catch basins, dry wells, street trees, parkway planters, and permeable sidewalks along Oro Vista Avenue between the Haynes Canyon Channel and Wingate Street, and also on Foothill Boulevard adjacent to the intersection with Oro Vista. This is also to capture and infiltrate stormwater, improve stormwater management, and provide community enhancements. The estimated construction budget for this project is $7 million. The scope of work for the task order solicitation to CDM Smith includes pre-design, design, bid and award, design services during construction, as well as community outreach embedded into each one of those phases. Just to briefly cover the business inclusion program, the city's goal for this task order for the minority business enterprise was 18%. CDM Smith is pledging 27.33%. The city's goal for women's business enterprise is 4%. CDM Smith is pledging 7.61%. The city's goal for small business enterprise is 25%. CDM Smith is pledging 32.83%. The city's goal for emerging business enterprise is 8%. CDM Smith is pledging 32.21%. And the city's goal for disabled veterans business enterprise is 3%. CDM Smith is pledging 5.93%. So they are meeting or exceeding all of the goals here. And quickly ending on funding here, as mentioned earlier, transfer agreements and 5-year funding plans with the county are in place for both projects. To date, for the Lancashire project, we have received and appropriated 2 years of funding, totaling 10.3 million. And to date, for the Ora Vista project, we have received and appropriated 2 years of funding, totaling 4.2 million. So to conclude, we recommend that the board authorize the city engineer to issue task order solicitation number 58 to CDM Smith for the Lancashire Boulevard and Ora Vista projects with a total budget authority of $3,585,026, including contingency. This concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Powell, for that very thorough report that you just provided. Let me see if my colleagues have any questions. Any questions, colleagues? I see Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis?
Yes, thank you very much for the report. In terms of the inclusion, you mentioned that is there a labor agreement, project labor agreement with this project?
For a project labor agreement when it comes to construction, that I'm not aware yet. This task order solicitation is for consultants to provide design services primarily.
I see. Now, in terms of the authority, it is $3,585,026, is that right?
Correct, $3,585,026.
Okay, and what's the time period of this motion in terms of when we expect implementation of what is being requested today?
Right, so this task order includes various phases. It includes the pre-design phase, which is expected to take about 6 months, the design phase, which is expected to take about 18 months, bid and award, which is another 6 months, and I think construction we have here for 24 months. So when it's all said and done, the project will be constructed in the middle of 2027. I think we're projecting the late summer of 2027.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Anyone else? Commissioner Reyes?
Thank you for the report as well. I just have one question. You mentioned the scope of work, but there is also a need for the consultant and BOE to work on community outreach and engagement. Is that included in this scope of work? And if so, how can you just briefly talk about how we're going to do that?
Absolutely. The community outreach isn't identified as a separate phase, but community outreach is included in all of our phases. So if you just look at the top line of this report, you know, the tasks that are going to our consultants are pre-design, design, support during bid and award, and support during construction. We have community outreach and engagement. We have a community outreach and engagement program outlined as an attachment to the task order solicitation, and that outreach and engagement is going to occur through each and every single one of those phases. So it is a rather big, I guess, task that is included in the task order solicitation, but it isn't listed as its own specific task. It is embedded into each one of those phases.
And who undertakes that task if it's across all the phases? Is that the consultant primarily?
So outreach will of course be led by sanitation and the Bureau of Engineering. We have sanitation's public affairs officer engaged there, so they will be helping us lead that effort. However, the consultant will be providing a lot of the support and their sub-consultant. In this case, which I believe is Harrison Company, which is a very experienced outreach sub-consultant that has done a lot of work for the city and the Bureau of Engineering in particular.
Okay, thank you for that info.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, for those questions. Mr. Powell, piggybacking on what Commissioner Reyes was asking, are the council offices involved also with the community engagement piece of this?
Absolutely, and they will be, I think the first thing we'll do once notice to proceed is issued to the consultant is to brief the council offices. And I think we're specifically here, we're talking about 2 and 6 for Lancashire and CD7 for Ora Vista.
Okay. Yeah, we want to make sure that does happen and the community has some kind of input on what the projects that we're putting together, especially on all council districts, to be honest. I see Commissioner Corson.
Thank you. Thank you for the report and the presentation. How many other bids did you receive from the on-call list, or was it just from CDM Smith?
one from CDM Smith, which is the firm that we selected, and the other proposal was from Stantec.
And on, thank you. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Corson. All right, seeing no other questions, colleagues, are you guys comfortable moving forward with a motion to move item number 1 forward?
Yes, so move.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. At this time, we'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos, for that. And thank you, Mr. Powell. I'm sorry, the fine print on Zoom doesn't let me read you both of your other names, so thank you for being here, too. I appreciate your time and your effort. You guys were very diligent on making sure you were ready for any questions we had. So thank you to all of you. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right, moving on to item number 2. This is in all council districts. This is a task order solicitation number 12 and revised funding, SOMAS for a project management and programming services Build LA project, recommending the board to 1, approve the revised funding amounts for task order number 12, and 2, authorize the city engineer to issue notices to proceed authorizing work not to exceed the revised funding level, $5,200,000. And we have Mr. Assam here today. How are you, sir? Good to see you again.
Good morning, President Garcia.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. So, first, good morning, President Garcia. Good morning, commissioners, and good morning, everyone. Let me give you a background about the funding for this task order and other task orders that we are using for the Build LA project. So, sorry, other funds that we are using in the Build LA project. There are 2 types of trust funds in the development services as of this moment. One of them is the Bureau of Engineering Equipment and Trust Fund. And this is 7% that gets charged to every permit or service provided by the Bureau of Engineering for development services. And that goes in a trust fund by itself. It's called the Equipment and Training Trust Fund. There is another trust fund that's 3%, and it's called Development Services Trust Fund. And this belongs to all really the Development Services Department, not just the Bureau of Engineering. So Building and Safety collects 3% of their permits. Bureau of Engineering also collects that extra amount of their permits. Street services, streets LA, and so sanitation. So any service that's provided to the development services community gets charged that 3% fund, which we call the Development Services Fund. So today we are asking to increase that funding level for this task order from 4.2 that was approved the last time, 4.2 million, to 5.2 million. So it's only $1 million increase. And the purpose of this fund, this increase, what we are asking for is to prepare several applications on the Bureau of Engineering side to meet the Build LA requirements. So we will be able to integrate our applications with the upcoming Build LA project. So that's the purpose of this fund. And it's basically staff augmentation because of the lack of programmers on our side, and we couldn't find really programmers in the last couple of years. So we are short in that area. So the consultant provides, these programming services plus project management so that we can complete, those IT projects to meet the Build LA requirements. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have or elaborate more on the Build LA project if you want me to.
Thank you, Mr. Assam. Any questions, colleagues? Dr. Davis?
Yes, I wanted to ask specifically, what are we doing with this project with SOMAS?
So the Build LA project really it goes back about 10 years. You know, the city decided to have this kind of portal, one place to go to for the development services community, whether it's a homeowner or it's a contractor or a developer, to go to this site where they coordinate all their projects with the city agencies. So it's multi-city agencies that push data to that one place where the customer can go to a kind of one-stop shop to get, for example, all their building permits approved, public right-of-way permits, any planning cases that they have. So all the departments really will be represented on one portal where the customers can go in and get their services. So because of again, the lack of programmers and, and we couldn't do it in the past, because of the idea in the past was to build one big application to host all these services. The new idea now is that every department can keep their own services, the IT services, like, for example, you can get a permit online from Bureau of Engineering. We will keep that service going, but we will push our data about the A permit status, for example, and any payments that's required to that portal. So it's one place for the customer to go to and know the status of their, all their development activity in one place about one project. So SOMAS's role here is staff augmentation to help, manage, every piece of that project, do all the coordination between the departments, collect what data needs to be shared between all the departments. So this is all part of this task order.
So this will centralize our data, and it would be somewhat of a grand central station of data available.
Exactly. That's exactly, yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Davis. I mean, that's what we call the big data warehouse for Build LA. And this is actually the ongoing activity right now at this moment, is how to collect all this data in one place.
Where will this location be physically?
Physically, currently we are using the Azure cloud, which is the Microsoft Azure cloud, but it can be also in any cloud. But currently we are, using the Azure cloud to host all this data. So it's a big kind of a big data warehouse that lives on the Azure cloud on the internet.
What district is it located in?
So this is I believe it's in the west of the United States. So I don't know the exact state, but Microsoft, they have these several locations within the United States and even outside the United States, so that they can manage, the disaster recovery and these things. So the site usually is replicated in a couple of places, just in case, of a disaster, you can still.
Oh, got you. Okay, got you. So that we will have it in a place as a backup in case we won't lose data.
Exactly.
If there is a natural disaster.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Exactly. It gets replicated all the time. So it's like mirror sites happening at the same time.
Absolutely. And so this is a part of our strategic planning and making sure that we are able to substantiate our business transactions with the appropriate data for all of the things that we maintain as a city. That's what this will do. So there is a virtual element to some of this as well?
Actually, the first request by all departments when the counters were closed, to provide the ability to meet with the staff and have virtual appointments, so we started building a system, like a year and a half ago, and actually now it's completed and it's in use. We have that appointments.lacity.org. It's one place where a customer that needs any development services can make an appointment with any of the departments that provide, development services such as building and safety, engineering, planning, fire departments. All of them are now in one place, and this is kind of the first time in development services where you have one place to go to make, for example, in this case, appointment with any of these departments. And the meeting itself is, we are using the Google Meet so that we can meet, face to face with the customer during these meetings. We can also do in-person meetings, and we can also do virtual counters. So if a customer wants to just walk in, it's similar to that, but it's virtually. They wait in that virtual room, and once their turn comes, they meet with a plant checker or a city associate who can help them answer their question. And this is actually the same day, so it's live. So there is a virtual element to all of that.
So this is like the concept of, with our personal data, having a backup in the cloud, if you will. And I definitely understand why we should not have our backup data all in one place, and certainly not in the place where we are physically located. In case of that disaster, there needs to be a backup that is in an alternative place that would be separate and apart from the location from where data is generated. So that's pretty much the concept. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's what why we are using the cloud. And the Bureau of Engineering actually started using the cloud about 4 years ago. So all of our data really are not, are in multiple locations really, in the United States, and even it could be outside the United States. The same data is mirrored and maintained under, strict security in these clouds.
What is the time period by which we think we will complete this task?
For the Build LA, we budgeted that for 5 years, but we are expecting like a year from now to have the first prototype for customers to go in one place and see the basic services that they requested, the status of these basic services, any payments that they have, either due payments or payments that they made, so they can track their projects. We're gonna provide the first prototype maybe in a year, but we expect to keep enhancing that and adding more departments as we go to that portal, during the next.
So this is
4 years from now, but a year from now we could have something available for customers.
This is a centralized effort for all of the data in the entire city organization?
No, it's really for all we are starting by all the departments that provide development services. If you are building a new apartment building,
I see.
Building a new house, so it's really development services at this stage, which actually it's about maybe 20 departments that are providing these services.
Okay. Now, you mentioned in terms of the financing of this project, an additional $1 million that had to be added. And why specifically did we have to add the additional $1 million to the project?
This is just, this one will come from what I call the 7% fund, the Bureau of Engineering Equipment and Training Fund, to fund preparing some projects on the Bureau of Engineering side to meet the requirements for the Build LA data warehouse. So we are preparing our data to just join correctly, the Build LA, and this will be done also by other departments. So we are actually submitting a request to the council, to the Plum Committee in the next couple of weeks on behalf of all other departments, again, to fund preparing their applications on their side to meet the LA data warehousing requirements. So every department really has to meet, those requirements so we can have a consistent set of data on the data warehouse. So kind of you build like a schema, and everybody has to meet these requirements so we can all push the data to the same place.
Agreed. I think that this should be a part of the strategic plan of every organization within the city, so that we do have this data that is readily available and that we will not lose it, as you have suggested, in the midst of a major earthquake or any other kind of disastrous impact that might damage our data. So with that, I definitely understand the urgency of us moving to expedite a centralized system that will allow us to be up to date with the kind of technology that our other brother and sister organizations have been implementing for quite some time now. So
Exactly.
thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. And just to kind of conclude on what Dr. Davis's line of questioning, Sam, ultimately, when this is all said and done and we have a nice bill delay platform, who will be the lead on maintaining and making sure that this, that the submission continues?
Right now, we have a steering committee that's composed of representatives from these departments. It's about 20 departments approximately. But again, the city engineer just was talking to me about, what is, the future of this maintenance of bill delay. So we really are not decided at this point, but Bureau of Engineering is managing the project at this time. And at some point of time, we may share the maintenance with other major departments such as building and safety and planning. So it's going to be a kind of a small committee from the major departments. We don't want to have like 20 departments responsible. So, but it may end up with 3 departments, forming a team, maintaining and improving all the time that portal or that platform.
I see. So it's like a co-sharing of the responsibility.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. We should definitely make sure we put that somewhere in either an MOU or a letter of agreement between departments so that once, our phase is, our individual phase is not here anymore, somebody else can continue that work and it doesn't die down.
I agree 100%.
Okay, I appreciate that. I will make sure that we write that in a big font. How's that? All right. I don't see any other questions from my colleagues. Are there any questions, any objections? Hearing none. Is there a motion? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second to item number 2? Item number 2, second, Dr. Davis has a first. Is there a second to agenda item number 2? Sorry.
Second? Second.
Second, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for your, for everything that you explained to us today, and look forward to seeing this bill delay be built out. How's that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the week.
You too, ma'am.
All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 3. This is a construction budget in Council District 11. Construction orders and change orders, Matthew and Stewart Company, Inc., super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, Main Street 200 project. Recommending the board to 1, authorize a construction budget of $615,000, including contingency for the super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, Main Street 200 project. And 2, authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and change orders up to the authorized construction budget for this project. And we have Mr. Wong here. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, members of the board. My name is George Huang from the Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. This project before the board today is to request for the construction budget of $615,000 for the Main Street 200 project. This project is located on Main Street between Marine Street and Rose Avenue. The work involves work on a 6-inch vitrified clay pipe sewer, which runs about 9 feet deep and 525 feet long. And this was constructed in 1926. If you refer to figure 1, the existing line in the yellow is the sewer line that has severe fractures and breaks, and there's also a history of sanitary sewer overflows that have been repaired, and the upstream maintenance hole also is no longer accessible, it's been buried underneath the sidewalk, which means that there's no available method for cleaning and maintaining the upstream portion of the sewer reach. The proposed project will abandon this existing 6-inch sewer pipe, and we will be relocating it about 33 feet towards the street along Main Street. And that's shown in the figure in the purple line. And in addition to that, we will be constructing 3 new maintenance holes, one at the both upstream and downstream, and another one in the middle of the reach. Typically, we try not to exceed about 300 feet without a maintenance hole in the between that separates them because of the maintenance. We don't want to be too long for maintenance. And then the project was done under the Sewer 7 bid unit prices, and the lowest bidder was Matthew and Stewart at $251,469.50. And one of the work that was not a sewer's bid item was the reconnection of the 13 house connections. When you extend the reach, we also have to extend the lateral by 33 feet. That's not a typical sewer's bid item. So we did ask the contractor to provide a unit price for reconnecting these 13 laterals. And that cost proposal was about $261,000. When factored into the original sewer's bid work, that brings the construction budget total to $512,443.59. A contingency of $102,000 will then bring the construction budget to $615,000 for this board report. And because this construction authority exceeds the 150 allowed within the city engineer's authority, we're asking the board to approve this construction budget and also the authority to issue construction orders and change orders to start this project. This project will be funded by the Sewers Operation and Maintenance Fund, and there is no impact to the general fund. And with that, that concludes the report, and I'd be happy to take any questions from the board.
Great, thank you, Mr. Wong, for that, for your report. Any questions, colleagues? Dr. Davis, do you have the light on, or, okay, got it. Seeing none, I don't know where he's seeing none, you did such a great job that no one has questions, Mr. Wong. And no, I think we all very understand that this is something that needs to get done, especially on such issues like this one, and this is happening in Council District 11, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Wong. I do appreciate your report. I don't see any questions or objections. So is there a motion on the table to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now at this time.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Davis, if you can just turn on your microphone for us.
All right, Dr. Davis, aye.
Thank you. And Commissioner Corzan
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Wong. Have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the week.
Well, thank you. I have a second item, so I'll hang on.
All right. Oh, you are? Okay, good. I think you're right. You are here on a second item. I'm going to just go chronologically, so I'll see you back in a couple of minutes then. That's moving on to item number 4. This is in Council Districts 1, 2, 4, 8, 9, 13, and 14. This is a sole source procurement of alternative lining technologies, cured in place manhole, various North outfall sewer rehabilitation projects, and Central Business District sewer rehabilitation projects, recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to sole source the use of alternative lining technologies, cured in place manhole for various North outfall sewer rehabilitation projects and Central Businesses District sewer rehabilitation project. Mr. Arrington, good morning. Can you tell us what you're doing? I know you're always here on very high level, hard to reach, complicated projects. So what are you doing now?
Madam President, before Mr. Arrington does his presentation, this is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. We did receive a Google comment form on item number 4 that will be distributed to all commissioners. The Google comment form is for the item. And sorry for the interruption, Mr. Arrington.
Thank you for that, Dr. Campos. We'll make sure to take a note of that and visit that Google form. Mr. Arrington, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Edward Arrington. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering. And as the item indicates, this is a request for sole source authorization for the use of outliner technologies cured in place maintenance whole product. And by way of background, as you all would sure realize, our collection system has these series of access points that allow us to do maintenance into the actual sewer. And these are our maintenance holes. But of course, they are subject to deterioration over time and eventually reach their designated life. Most of these, of course, have been rehabilitated as we go on, but there's still a significant number of maintenance holes that are out there that still need these rehabilitation to take place, particularly in our major sewers. We have 2 major programs that we work with currently. One is the North Outflow Sewer Program, and of course the corresponding projects for that, and then of course the Central Business District program, and there's projects related to that. And in all these different projects, we have maintenance holes that need rehabilitation, primarily because of the age of these maintenance holes have been reached, and they are now dilapidated and are coming to the point where they need to be strengthened and or just general rehabilitation to resist the corrosion that takes place within them. Now, just talking about the different systems that we have in order to do that, and even before we do that, I would say that there are times where we find the need to actually just replace the maintenance hole outright. Excuse me, and sometimes that is the best option to do just because of the level of damage that we discovered. But many occasions we can't do that, one, because of the cost that we have to incur in doing so, or because of the impact of the local community in having to dig out a complete maintenance hole and then having to replace it. So in light of that, we do this rehabilitation that we are trying to get approval for today. Now, in these systems, there are 2 different categories of rehabilitation liners that we use, and we deem them as type 1 liners and type 2 liners. The type 1 liners tend to be plastic liners that are here to the surface of the maintenance holes, as well as these sleeves that get put into the maintenance holes and heat cured to the point that they become solid and then provide the longevity for the maintenance hole once this is done. The second type of system we have is type 2 liners. Type 2 liners are primarily more spray-on type liners, coatings, if you will, if you want to think about them that way. They are applied just like that. There's a spray gun that is applied onto the surface in various successions leading up to the final thickness that is needed for the various products that we have. Now, we over the time have gone ahead and sought to secure approval on multiple products under each of these categories. However, what we do know is that type 1 liners have a greater longevity than type 2 liners. And primarily and definitely for major sewer projects, we seek to install type 1 liners, primarily because, of course, they'll give us that longevity, and in turn also they will reduce the amount of maintenance costs that we have to apply. However, in these type 1 liners, as much as we desire them, when it comes to rehabilitation, we actually only have one product that we can actually use. We have multiple products that are type 1, but only one of them we can actually use for rehabilitation. The other ones are mainly intended for new construction where the material is cast during the fabrication of the maintenance hole, but for rehabilitation, we only have one. And it is this one that we're talking about here, the outliner technologies. And so with that, the challenge, of course, is that we have multiple projects that are moving forward under each one of these programs, under the North Alpha Sur program and then the Central Business District program. And we do want to avoid having to delay any of these projects because we're waiting for additional products to be made available. And so with that, we are seeking that we get an approval for sole sourcing of this particular product for these two programs for the projects that will be coming in this fiscal year and on to even the following fiscal year. And also, just by way of background, because I know this has come up during briefings, in regards to what are we doing to rectify this situation. We are actually working with two other vendors currently. One is Triplex Lining Technologies. It is very similar to this product that we're discussing here today. They are seeking to identify the resin that they want to use for their product. And as soon as that gets worked out, as well as some other administrative items, we can begin to get into this testing phase to actually evaluate that product. There's actually another product that we're also in discussions with the vendor on, that is Shield Lock, that is sold by Armor Lock Company. We are in discussion with them as well. They were working through identifying the epoxy that they wanted to use with that particular lining system. They have now made that decision, and so now we're moving forward to identifying the necessary testing that will need to take place in order for them to get them approved. But of course, we don't have control as to how quickly these vendors move along in seeking approval. And so to avoid that, we get into a situation where those products have not yet been approved. Again, we are seeking that this particular product be authorized as sole sourcing for these upcoming projects. And I'm sorry, one last thing to mention. In terms of the number that we're looking at right now, it's somewhere in the order of about 24 maintenance holes for the upcoming projects. Some projects only are going to be needing 2 maintenance holes to be rehabilitated, some maybe 5 to be rehabilitated, some perhaps 3. But in terms of the number, it's not a significant number per se. And again, our hope is that once we get these other products in place, then perhaps the need to actually exercise this authority on all the upcoming projects will not be even necessary. But with that, I complete my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Arrington, for that, for your report. So I have one, not a question, more of a, just kind of a comment. So this is, you guys, the Bureau of Engineering have decided that this is the right material and product for this type of repair, right?
Yes, ma'am. Like I've indicated, Type 1 liners have a long longevity in terms of their ability to resist the corrosion within that particular environment. On average, these materials have a life expectancy of about 50 years. So that gives us the ability to rest assured that that structure remains intact for that duration. The other products, the Type 2 liners, they don't have as long of a longevity. They vary, somewhere in the order of about 10 to 25 years or so. And depending on how they're doing, they may need some maintenance along the way. So definitely for our major sewer systems, the Type 1 liner is the system that we seek to apply. And of course, with our client department, the Bureau of Sanitation, that is also their preference to use these systems for these major sewer projects.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Arrington. Any questions, colleagues? Commissioner Reyes.
Just one question. Do you foresee any supply chain issue?
No,
okay, go ahead.
No, not at this time, ma'am. We seem to have been able to meet, or the vendor has been able to meet our needs pretty effectively so far. And again, we are our staff is working diligently to pursue these other vendors so that even that hopefully will not be an issue once we get these other products on board.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, for that. That was a good observation, good question, Commissioner Reyes. All right, seeing no more questions or seeing any objections, is there a second to this motion? Is there a first to this motion on item number 4?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. On item number 4, we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Mr. Arrington, for your answering our questions and for having such a thorough explanation of what we're doing out in our sewer lines. Thank you for that. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Bye-bye. All right, moving on to item number 5. This is a joint report by the Bureau of Contract Administration and the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 13. This is a contract acceptance, Council District 13, Tiny Home Village, West Lake at 2301 West 3rd Street. Recommending to the board to, 1, accept the contract. And I believe I can take item number 6 together, right? Yes, we can. This is also a request from the Bureau of Contract Administration and the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 2. This is a contract acceptance, Tiny Home Village, Council District Number 2, Chandler Boulevard, recommending the board to, 1, accept this contract. Mr. McReynolds, we have you here on these 2 items, right?
Yes, ma'am. Good
Welcome.
morning, President Garcia and commissioners and colleagues. Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration. Shall I go ahead and proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay. So item number 5 is the Tiny Homes Council District 13, Tiny Homes Village, Westlake. On September 3rd, 2021, this contract was awarded on a competitive basis using the previously established on-call list of Ford EC Incorporated in the amount of $2,357,058 with a contingency for a total authorized budget of $2,710,617. The project provided for the installation of emergency sleeping cabins and beds for up to 109 individuals. Site amenities included hygiene units, restrooms, showers, lavatories, laundry station, designated seating, pet relief area, and extensive site paving and landscaping. 14 change orders were issued, increasing the total cost of the project to $2,357,058. The project was completed at 15% above the award amount and its authorized budget, and change orders were primarily due to accessibility ADA issues that had to be resolved, as well as some site storm drainage issues. The contractor has completed or has complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements. Due to the urgent necessity, the LBP and BIP programs, as well as the MSM programs, were waived for crisis and bridge housing programs. Final corrections were issued for this project on January 28, 2022, and there are no currently unresolved property owners or complaints on this project. So we're looking for requesting a acceptance. A second one is Tiny Home Village, Council District 2, Chandler Boulevard. On October 6, 2020, this contract was awarded on a competitive basis using the previously established on-call list to 40C as well, in the amount of $3,487,592 with a contingency and a total authorized budget of $3,836,292. The project provided for 39 emergency sleeping cabins in Council District 2, including storage, modular hygiene units, storage restrooms, showers, admin, laundry, and a total of 75 beds were realized. The site included communal spaces, eating areas, as well as extensive site and landscaping works. 2 change orders were issued, decreasing the contract to a total cost of $3,339,187. The project was completed 4.26% below the award amount and 12.96% below its authorized budget. There were no disputed funds withheld, therefore no funds are due the contractor. Contractor has complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements. Due to the urgency of the project, again, the LBP, BIP, and MSM program were waived for all crisis and bridge home projects. Final corrections were completed on February 22nd, 2021, and there are no unresolved property or contractor claims on this project as well, so we're requesting acceptance on this. Thank you.
Great to hear on both items that there are no issues outstanding and we're ready to close out, right? Perfect, or accept it, actually. All right, colleagues, any questions for Mr. McReynolds?
Yes.
You do, Dr. Davis?
Mr. McReynolds, thank you so much for the report. As we have explored the solutions that we want to implement on homelessness, originally we had each of the council offices, I think at least the majority of them, that had made a commitment to do housing for the homeless in their area. And I see here before us 2 tiny home village projects. Have we begun to implement small or tiny home village projects in each of the council districts?
Well, President Pro Tem Board Davis, I'd have to actually ask Bureau of Engineering to weigh in on that. So I'll be glad to contact Bureau of Engineering and have them circle back with you. I do know from personal experience, we've built many tiny homes projects through probably a majority of council offices, but I can't speak to whether or not everyone has been completed yet.
Okay. On the ones that you present today, all of these projects have been completed, correct?
Well, yes, these 2 projects have, the ones I'm presenting today, completed, and they both done by the same contractor, and we had no issues on them. They're both, projects went very smoothly.
In terms of the funding sources for these projects, where is the source of funding coming from to build these projects?
The Crisis and Bridge program has multiple funding sources. I don't have the exact ones in front of me, but again, I can circle back with you on that.
In terms of the Measure H projects that we had, are any of the dollars from those projects, I know we had H and we had HHH, one of which was capital projects and the other of which was wraparound services and mental health and those kinds of things, but of those public measures that were for homeless construction, any of those dollars invested in these 2 projects you present today?
These projects are outside of the realm of the HHH and JJJ funding structure. But again, I'll have Bureau of Engineering circle back with you. These were done under what is known as the Crisis and Bridge Housing Program, which was brought forward by our mayor. And so it kind of had its own little structure when it came to those.
So the mayor basically organized the funding for these projects that are before us today?
Very involved, yes.
Mm-hmm. That'd be great, and I would appreciate a report on the other public funding that was allocated in terms of where we are and what has been done and how we are moving forward to utilize that money in the same way that you have presented these proposals to us today for these motions rather, that you have before us. I think better knowledge about how we are also using the other money for these same kind of efforts would be very helpful. Thank you so much for the report.
Certainly, we will make a point to get back to you.
Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. Perhaps Marina Quiñones on the BOE side can provide you a running list of where provide Dr. Davis the running list of shelters, tiny homes, and permanent housing that is being constructed in each of the district offices. So thank you. All right. Any other questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Any objections to item number 5 and 6? Hearing none. Okay. If there aren't any objections, is there a motion on the table to move items number 5 and 6 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. I'll second that. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by me to move items 5 and 6 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulations on these items. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Korzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Mr. McReynolds, for your time and for your thorough reports on both items. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving right along to item number 7, and we see Mr. Wong again. Good. Mr. Wong, welcome back. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Sanitation in Council District 10. Contract award, contract construction budget and construction orders, Mike Buffalo Construction Company, Inc., on-call emergency sewer and storm drain repairs, contract emergency sewer repair Hyperion, water reclamation plant, headworks, and large diameter sewers cleaning project. Recommending the board to, 1, authorize a construction budget of $13,580,040, including contingency for the emergency sewer repair, Hyperion water reclamation plant, headworks, and large diameter sewers cleaning project. 2, authorize the city engineer to award this project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Mike Buffalo Construction Company, Inc., in compliance with the established procedures of the on-call emergency sewer and storm drain repairs contract. 3, authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and revised construction orders up to the authorized construction budget for this project to Mike Buffalo. And Mr. Huang, good to see you again. Welcome. Oh, is that Ms. Jackson? All right. Good to see you, Ms. Jackson. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, George Huang from Bureau of Engineering. I'm joined by Ms. Asia Jackson from LA Sanitation. We're here to present this board report regard to request for the construction budget and also to award the Hyperion water reclamation plant headworks and large diameter sewer cleaning project to the Mike Buffalo Construction Company in the amount of $13,580,040. This project came about because of the plant's experience with the overflow and the recommendations of the measures after the incident on July 11th, 2021. Emergency request was issued for the emergency to clean and remove debris in the large diameter sewer pipelines that lead up to the plant and also inside the plant headworks channels. So the scope of work in terms of the cleaning are reflected in the figure number 1. You can see the different colors of the lines there that reflect the cleaning of this project. The project during the also includes add alternate scope of work, which is an optional scope that was identified that the contractor can, if they can identify the means and method to complete the work, they would put a bid value to it. Then the city would look at that, and if it's approved, then the city would add that work to this contract. So the construction budget being requested in this board report reflects that cost and assumes that the work is being added. And then in the event that it's not added, the funds would remain unused and disencumbered. And the project was bidded out to 5 contractors on the emergency sewer repair on-call list, and the lowest bid was from Mike Buffalo. Their original amount was $9,726,280, and including the add alternate bid items, their total bid was $11,316,700. And this project also has a contingency of $2,263,340. So that contingency is higher than the usual because after the bids, we were notified by LA Sand that there was extra work that would be added inside and outside of the plant, and that this contingency would reflect and address those scope of the cost for those the additional work inside and outside of the plant. And then The project construction duration is 210 calendar days. Due to the emergency and sensitivity surrounding this work, the Board Liaison Commissioner approved the project to begin construction on an emergency basis. The project started on June 6, 2022, and is anticipated to be completed on January 2023. This project is funded by the Sanitation Expense and Equipment Fund, and there's no impact to the general funds. And that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to take any questions from the board. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wong, for your report. Glad to hear that this will be done by in soon, January of 2023, so in a couple months. Good to hear that. Thank you for that expedited work. Any questions, colleagues?
Yeah, I have
Dr. Davis?
You mentioned in terms of the contingency, how much was the contingency on this project?
Commissioner, the contingency was $2,263,340.
Okay, and you mentioned that the contingency would be used because we added to the scope of work to the project, obviously after we had already designated what the role was supposed to be for the contractor. So that the $2 million is in fact what the contingency is, as well as we're paying for the extra scope that we have ordered to the project, or is a certain portion of the $2 million added to the contingency, and then a portion therein is applied to the extra scope of work that we ordered?
This contingency does not include the original contract bid item work and also the add alternate work. This is all a separate extra work. This includes the work that involves additional cleaning of the reaches sort of as you get closer into the Hyperion plant. And then also the headworks, it adds work that cleans the bypass channel. And both of them were not included at the time of the bid. So that's what the contingency amount will cover.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Dr. Davis, and thank you, Wong, for your response. Any other questions? Hearing none. Any objections? Seeing none. Is there a second to my motion to move item number 7 forward and forthwith?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 7 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wong. You are now officially excused, I think. I don't think I have you for any more presentations today.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. And Ms. Jackson, you too, thank you for being here.
All right, thank you.
All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 8 on today's agenda. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration for a contract award in Council District 14. Access Pacific, Inc., Active Transportation Program Cycle 3, Downtown Los Angeles Arts District Pedestrian and Cyclist Safety Project, Federal Project Number ATPL-5006864, recommending the board to 1, declare Access Pacific, Inc., first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Access a contract for this project for $11,793,221.33, and 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. And we have Arsen. Good to see you, Arsen. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Good to see everyone again. My name is Arsen Voskirchen. I'm the principal civil engineer at the Street Improvement Division of the Bureau of Engineering. And I'm joined by our project manager, Fadi Abu, today, and we'll be presenting a contract award, a construction contract award request for the Active Transportation Program. This is for Cycle 3, the Arts District project. And Fadi will provide a lot more detail on what this project is and the recommendations, and then I'll be here to answer any questions along with Fadi afterwards. Thank you, and I'll pass it over to Fadi.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, commissioners. Just to give you a little background on the project, the City of LA, in cooperation with DOT, is proposing to improve pedestrian and bicycle facilities in the downtown LA Arts District area. Improvements are located primarily on, but not limited to, Santa Fe Avenue, Mateo Street, Traction Avenue, 4th Street, and the connections to the 6th Street Viaduct and rail bus transit. The project will provide various bike lanes, bike routes, new and widened sidewalks with curb extensions, high visibility crosswalks, traffic control intersections, wayfinding signage, pedestrian lighting, and shade trees, amongst other improvements. Ultimately, the main goal of the project is to improve the mobility and safety of the area. The contract duration is 640 calendar days. We've been in close contact with the Office of Councilmember Kevin DeLeon, and they support this project. The project has also been reviewed for environmental consideration and is determined to be categorically exempt pursuant to the provision of the California Environmental Quality Act. And the project also complies with the provisions of the National Environmental Policy Act under categorical exclusion. The BOE evaluated the various bids. Based on the range of bids submitted for this project, the staff believes these bids are reasonable and that the contract may be awarded to Access Pacific as the first lowest bidder, subject to the verification of all other bidding requirements. This project is federally funded and is subject to the city's DBE program in accordance with regulations of the Department of Transportation. The project was advertised with a DBE goal of 23%. The Office of Contract Compliance, based on their review of the documents submitted by Access, reported that the contractor pledged a DBE commitment of 63.71% and an OBE participation level of 36.29%. With regards to Access's previous work record, they've worked on several contracts issued by the Board of Public Works in the past. No significant or unresolved problems in inspection, contract compliance, or bidder responsibility have been experienced by the Bureau of Contract Administration. The project is funded by the Federal Active Transportation Program grant. DOT Transportation Grant Fund provides the funding, and the Assistant General Manager of the DOT has been identified and verified. The following Fund 655 funding source currently available for the project. This funding, 655, comes out at a total of $12.3 million, with 672,543 as to be determined. And construction duration, as mentioned, the contract duration will be 640 calendar days. This concludes my presentation. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Great, thank you for that, Fadi. I appreciate your details on this. Colleagues, before we start our questioning, we do have a caller on the line, so we can take public comment now. Dr. Campos.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Williams, if you can please unmute your microphone at this time. The Board of Public Works is considering item number 8. You will have 2 minutes to speak under this segment. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council Emeritus and President of Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. I have been involved in active transport problems for 50 years, but now I'm too old and gave up my bicycle and electric trike. I started in Berkeley in 1972 with ADA and the Center for Independent Living. This particular project is of importance to me because we'd like to have it also in El Sereno. But the Department of Public Works has not done a good job on ramps, ADA ramps on the corners, and all of 90032 zip code. I would like to have this program make sure that the ramps for all of the corner active and wheelchair-bound people be accurate and compliant with the flush transition. That is less than 1/4 inch lip between the ramp and the gutter. This is not the case in El Sereno. So I would like to be provided with the web address for the contract and the map of the project for all of downtown LA, wherever they're going to have for the next 2 years. Thank God I'm still okay. I think I can make it 2 years. And I will be noting the curb ramps now and what happens during this project. So make it flush. We had to put the city engineer of Berkeley into a wheelchair to demonstrate what flush means. And he could not go over a ½ inch or a 1 inch lip. There are also bathrooms in City Hall that don't comply with ADA because they also have a 1 inch lip on
Minutes, if
getting
you can
out
please
of the
wrap up.
men's bathroom into carpet. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, for your public comment. Okay, Arsen, and I know, Fadi, you already did your presentation. Colleagues, are there any questions for the Bureau of Engineering team? Seeing none, are there any objections to this item? Seeing none either. All right, is there a motion on the table to move item number 8 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Good, thank you, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 8 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation on item number 8. We'll go ahead and start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Arsen and Fadi, for your report. We are looking forward to this project come to fruition, so I'm excited that we're working and putting in more bike lanes and making it just much safer and nicer around. And I understand that this is also going to lead up to the 6th Street Bridge, so that's a nice connection that we're doing there. Thank you for thinking, just broadly around this area and how to make it more pedestrian friendly.
Thank you very much, and we are definitely committed to making compliant curb ramps, and so we will double and triple check that as well on these projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that,
very
Arsen.
much.
Thank you. All right, thank you both. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Me too.
Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, we've now reached our oral report section. Today, item number 9 is Sewer Repair Financial Assistance Program, policy number 811, update from the Bureau of Sanitation. And we have Mr. Troy Eze here. Hello, Troy. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. So, good morning, commissioners. I'm just here to provide an oral update on our sewer lateral rebate program. So just to give you some quick background, the city of LA has over 700,000 possible sewer lateral connections, with about 506,000 of them being connected. Now, roughly 12% of these private sewer laterals show damage due to roots based on our CCTV of sewer main lines. So the goal of the rebate program is to essentially reduce the number of root-related sewer sanitary overflows. For this program, we can't specifically focus on hotspot root areas or disadvantaged communities because of Prop 218, which requires all city-paying residents to have the same ability to apply for the rebate. So this program is essentially a free-for-all on a first-come, first-served basis until annual allocated funds are exhausted. There is a total of $36 million in the account for the sewer lateral rebate program. So it's about $1.2 million per fiscal year that we've allocated per year for this program. There are 2 rebates available, one for CCTVing or videotaping your private sewer lateral, which we provide up to $300. And the second rebate is for repairing your sewer lateral on your private property, and we provide up to $1,000 for this rebate. Now, each rebate has a number of documents that residents need to submit in order to become eligible, and they're able to apply online. So in terms of stats, we kicked off this program back in January 3rd of this year. And as of today's date, a total number of applications that we've received is a total of 73. And we have approved a total of 34. So this is about a 47% approval rate. The first round of this program, again, started January 3rd and ended this fiscal year that just passed June 3rd. So in the first round, we received 21 applications and we approved 21 applications, which is about $8,974. The second round, which started July 1st of this year and is now ongoing, we've approved a total of 13 applications in the second round, and this totals about $7,700. So in total, since the program started, we've provided approximately $16,674 in rebate money to city residents. In terms of outreach efforts, we've been working closely with the Public Affairs Office. We have fact sheets, frequently asked question flyers that have been translated in Spanish, Korean, and we're working with the City Clerk Office to translate it in 11 other languages. We have a dedicated website that we have available. We have fact sheets and frequently asked questions that's also been sent to the Empower LA Department of Neighborhood Empowerment for inclusion in their newsletters and their social media. And we've also provided the program information to DWP, who has used this on their June LADWP bill for their customers as well. So we've noticed that the outreach efforts that we've been making has been contributing to a lot more volume. So hopefully this coming round, second round and onward, we could get more and more applicants. As far as program improvement needs, we do want to reach out more to plumbers and contractors to inform them about this program, because we find out that when people submit their videos, they essentially forget to leave out their address, because we require that in the beginning of the video so that we can verify that this is the right property. And a lot of the times owners would come back to us saying that they don't have the address showing on their video, and we can't verify that it's their property, therefore they're not eligible for the program. Hence why we only have a 47% approval rate so far, because not too many people comply with the requirements. We also want to have more unison with Bureau of Engineering, CONAD, and LADBS when it comes to finalizing permits for lateral repair work done on properties. We want to make sure that permits are final and signed before we approve applicants. So that's what we're closely working with LADBS, Bureau of Engineering, and CONAD on. We want to make some improvements to our online application tool. The online application tool is essentially how they apply for the rebate, but there are some glitches that we need to fix in the system, and so we're working closely with ICSD to do that. And then lastly, we want to be able to streamline the application review process. Now, we tell homeowners that to expect at least 3 to 4 months before they hear back as far as whether they're approved or denied. But in some cases, it's taken longer than this because so many different divisions have to be involved, such as ourselves, Wastewater Engineering Services Division, Financial Management Division, Office of Accounting, and then lastly, the Controller's Office, who are the ones responsible for actually issuing out the rebate checks. So it's a lot of people looking at the applications, and we want to probably streamline this process more so that applicants get paid in a timely fashion. And that pretty much concludes my oral update. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Troy. You were very thorough. When does this current cycle end, or is there a closeout date for it?
So we began our second, so this program is every fiscal year. So it literally begins in the fiscal year, the new fiscal year. So the second round started July 1st of this year, and the second round would end June 30th of next year, and then onward each fiscal year. So we anticipate 30 years total for this program, as I mentioned, and we're dedicating about $1.2 million per year for the program. So once funds are exhausted, we can no longer give rebates for that specific fiscal year until the next fiscal year starts.
I see. So it looks like the first year we had 21 total. We're on our way on 13.
13 already, yes, as of right now. Yeah.
How many do you foresee that we can do in a year?
It's really kind of hard to say because, again, as I mentioned, we're planning for we're planning for somewhere around 100 applicants. I think that's what we're shooting for as of right now. And again, we're doing a lot of outreach to kind of increase this number amount. But again, I think the main hurdle with getting more and more applicants is we have to do more and more outreach, get the program information out there, which we're already doing. But hopefully we do more outreach and reach out to more, departments or organizations regarding this program. And essentially, as I mentioned, the biggest hurdle for us as far as approving applications is the amount of documents that we're requiring from residents. And it's always a lot of, following up. It's a lot of back and forth due to them due to them missing something that they need for them to become eligible. And of course, we give them a time period. If they don't respond in 30 days, then we have to deny the application because that's just what we have in our rules and regs. So again, it's just figuring out internally how to streamline the process and make it more user-friendly, I guess, to apply and receive the rebate. So that's what we're still trying to struggle. We're still struggling with as of right now, but it is in the beginning stages. But it's kind of hard to tell how much we'll be receiving this year. I guess the more we go on, the more we get an idea of how much we could expect each fiscal year.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that response. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Commissioner Reyes.
Thank you for the report. I'm really glad that we're targeting our disadvantaged communities so we can equitably provide access to our resources. My question is about the access to internet and Wi-Fi. I mean, our website, contains all the forms I would, assume, but not everyone in those neighborhoods have Wi-Fi.
That's a great question.
In terms of outreach, right? What are we doing so that we're reaching deeper into that community? What are we also doing in terms of partnering? And you mentioned about the CBOs, the community-based organizations, which could be a good partner for us. So that's one part of my question. And the second one is on the fulfillment side. When we are now doing the rebates, is to really look at our capacity, because that will frustrate a lot of the applicants if they don't get the rebates, because they are relying on those rebates practically because of the nature of that neighborhood that we're working to offer these resources.
Okay, so to answer your first question, as I mentioned, so far we've worked with Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to pretty much send them information regarding our frequently asked questions and our fact sheets about the program that comprehensively summarizes the program. We've worked to get that newsletter out to essentially all the neighborhood councils in newsletter form, hard copy form, so they do have access to that. We do allow paper applications for those who do not have internet. Obviously, our preferred choice is online application because it's faster for us to track and process the application. But we do offer applicants the ability to send us a paper application via email or to our office. We have a dedicated office where we receive that, and then we type in their information manually and we still process it that way. And to answer your second question, as far as capacity, just to clarify, are you talking about in terms of the rebate amounts exactly? Just want to.
For them to get their rebates back, what is that process? What's the turnaround time?
Yeah, that's what we're struggling with now. The turnaround time, to be frank, it's not that great. As I mentioned, as far as the process, the flow chart, just to summarize, when the owner applies online, we are the first, or FMD, Financial Management Division, is the first one to get the application. They review to see if they're in good standing with DWP as far as payments, and we kind of do the technical side of things as far as checking to see if they have the CCTV video with their address. So FMD and our Wastewater Engineering Services Division, we make sure that we review the financial and technical aspect of it. Once we approve of it, we send it to Office of Accounting, who then sends it to the controller's office. So I think the lag might be between the Office of Accounting and controller's office. We have had applicants that applied in January and they haven't received their rebate till like June, August. So this is basically like 6 months. So I think in terms of streamlining the process, maybe we just need to have a dedicated contact for each department to know, or essentially get status updates on, what their status is with processing or reviewing it on their side. And that's what we are doing. We are meeting bi-weekly with everyone who's involved with the program, and we've seen faster response times since then. But in the beginning stages, it wasn't that way because we weren't necessarily working with the right representative from each department, but we're making improvements in that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Troy, so do we now have a point of contact in each of the departments that understand this program and can, move it forward?
Yes, yes. So we already work closely with Financial Management Division. In the Office of Accounting, we have a dedicated contact who joins us every 2 weeks or so to kind of discuss the status of the review process on their end. And they did inform us of a contact in the controller's office to ensure that the rebate checks are sent out to the right address. And if they are sent back for whatever reason, if the rebate checks are not delivered successfully to the applicant, we know who to contact from the controller's office to see if it was received or if it was returned back. So there's more communication that's going on right now, and we are beginning to realize that it's helping us streamline the process even better.
Yes, I agree, definitely. Especially if these are constituents that just have front funded a lot of the money, they need that money back right away.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate you having your eye on this, and I look forward to increasing the efficiency of the rebate program, especially when constituents are waiting for money back.
Yes.
Thank you. And I put it, Troy, next time you come to us, I hope that our efficiency has improved. Not that I know you're not the only one, but definitely keep an eye on all of this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions for Troy? Seeing none. Thank you, Troy, for your report. I look forward to hearing how this is going. How often do you come to us? Once a year or biannually?
I believe it's once a year. So hopefully by the next year, we'll have more volume of applicants and the process will be much smoother than it is because we're just starting.
Agreed. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. No more questions from our commissioners. Thank you, Troy. Have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, colleagues, it seems like this is the end of today's agenda. Dr. Campos, how we clear today's desk?
Yes, you have.
Thank you very much. We are officially now adjourned on September 14 at, oh God, I don't have my time. 11:45 on the dot. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.